or at least that's how it seemed. He might be more, but I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, definitely. All right, ladies and gentlemen, as you have seen, I changed the topic for the last topic. It is not the Overwatch Minute with Greg Dietz. Actually, it is time for Why You're Wrong with Greg Dietz.
All right, folks. So over the weekend, not over the weekend, I'm sorry, yesterday, so Tuesday, we were treated by the delightful and awful trailer of Sonic the Hedgehog. This Why You're Wrong is going to be a bit confusing because 9 times out of 10, when the internet does something as a whole, I usually go against it. But this one's going to be weird because I don't necessarily disagree with the internet's impression of this trailer. Sonic looks weird. He's off. There's something just unnerving about him. I don't like it. There's a lot of little things that people keep pointing out. But here's why I think everyone's wrong on why they don't like the way Sonic looks. And it has nothing to do with like its creepiness, its uncanny valleyness. I think it has everything to do with nostalgia. And that's where this Why You're Wrong is headed. You cannot, and I cannot emphasize this enough, cannot put your own personal nostalgia and bias on something that is an adaptation. Now, do I think Sonic in this trailer could be designed better? Absolutely. Does he need to look like the cartoon? No. He doesn't need to look like the fucking cartoon. A few other people have pointed out that he has a weird design because they tried to go more in a hedgehog direction versus a cartoon direction. And I get that. And I totally support that from artistic direction. But at the same time, there's something off. There's just something straight up off about it, which is what I think everybody sees. But again, I can't stress this enough. The Why You're Wrong is it shouldn't look like the cartoon. It doesn't have to look like the cartoon. Would it be better if it did? The fuck if any of us technically know. Would you all fucking go apeshit if it did? Yeah, because it's your nostalgia sparking in your brain. But as I've said before, take off the rose-colored glasses and give it a look again outside of that. And the movie looks like it's just kind of a cash-in, kind of schlockish sort of thing. And I think that's the problem I have with it. It just looks like a bad... I mean, it's like there's a line of films in this vein where you could really go like, ooh. I was gonna say Smurfs is one of them. Alvin and the Chipmunks. There's a few others that people pointed out that this looks like, and I think that's where my problem lies. Is it looks bad from that angle. I don't know. There's a lot of things about this trailer that don't look good, but I don't think that saying that because it doesn't look like the cartoon, because it doesn't look like the video game, is why it's bad. That's why you're wrong. That's where you become, as an individual, incorrect. Because it shouldn't, and it doesn't. I should phrase that. It doesn't, and it shouldn't. And I'll explain why it shouldn't. So, when it comes to adaptations, when it comes to something that you take a thing from a different medium and you present it in a new form, you have to change it for that new form. I've talked about this on Why You're Wrong in the past. A book cannot be perfectly translated into a movie. A TV show cannot be perfectly translated into a book. There has to be a give and take because they're different mediums. They're different art forms. If you were to take 60 years of Marvel comics and try to apply that to a film, you'd lose your goddamn mind. You have to take bits and pieces and construct your own story. But here's the part where people should be saying, and it's what Alex Hirsch, who created Gravity Falls, said, and in not so many words. You have to take the spirit. You have to take what people love about the character and apply that. So, for example, with Sonic, people love his design. So I would argue that more of his design should have been implemented into that character. And this is perfectly exampled with I would say the juxtaposition, the differences of Sonic the Hedgehog and Detective Pikachu. Look at the Pokemon in Detective Pikachu. Do they look like the Pokemon you remember, just slightly different? Yes. Jigglypuff may be furry, but he's still a round pink ball with a swirly fucking hairpiece and giant eyes. Is Charizard a big orange dragon? Yup. He sure as fuck is. Like, the design of those characters still look like what we recognize. And that's what makes them special. That's what makes them unique. That's what the fans have been attached to, have been drawn to in the past. But then you take Sonic the Hedgehog and you change him, something that has such a huge fan base. You're going to see this kind of backlash. But I think fans on that same note need to understand that, much like with Detective Pikachu, like, that's where the movie should have gone. How that looks, essentially. Because that's the spirit. That's what makes it special. That's what people drew to. I don't think this Why You're Wrong is quite literally, it's simple. When you use your nostalgia to demean something, to beat something down, that's why you're wrong. It's as simple as that. You can't do that. You can't sit there and say, well, I didn't like A because my childhood was different with A. You can't do that. We live in a specific type of renaissance where our nostalgia and our past always come back, and they're reimagined, revamped. And you can't apply that same feeling onto this. You just can't. I'm trying to think of anything else to kind of add to it. Like, let's have the conversation of what constitutes a good adaptation versus just beating the fuck down the way the Sonic looks and that it should look like the cartoon. There's a different conversation that we need to have that none of us are having. So yeah, that's my Why You're Wrong. There's no moral like at the end of fucking South Park. I just don't go to the extent of fucking yelling and screaming from the fucking mountaintops that it needs to look like your childhood or that it ruined your. You start a conversation with me that it ruined your childhood and you're fucking immediately ignored. I hate that phrase more than most things in this world. I fucking hate that phrase.